What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Snowcast Sports Talk podcast, episode 63. Joined here by my brother Matt. Matt, how we doing today?
Oh, a good New Englander sipping on his donkeys. Got his Patriot sweatshirt on. Doing good today.
I get a lot of crap for living in New England and being a Giants fan. And me and Matthew
I give you most of that crap.
I know. We give each other a lot of crap for the Patriots and the Giants. But the funny thing is there's so much camaraderie besides like the Super Bowls, like coaches, players, like even Julian Edelman on his last podcast was wearing a Giants shirt.
It's true, yeah.
And so it's just, and like Bill Belichick started off at the Giants. Bill Parcells was with the Giants. I don't know. It seems like the teams hate each other, but I don't get a ton of hate from like the state, but from you for sure.
Just more or less for fun. Yeah, the Patriots and the Giants.
They're even like similar teams.
Just because of like the Super Bowl rings you took from Brady. That is, I think, the only reason. Other than that, it's kind of friendly.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
But let's we're doing something a little different today. Not podcast wise, we'll be talking about football as always. But Matthew doesn't know the subject, so we'll just go into each one and discuss them. And there's a ton to talk about actually. And first and foremost, it's Super Bowl week. We have the Eagles.
Super Bowl week.
We have the Eagles and the Chiefs playing each other. And I guess, Matthew, I want to just get your initial top-level thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Anything that comes to mind really quick?
Yeah, I think the thing I keep hearing, and I don't know if it's the narrative being told around the biggest narrative being told around the public, but I just keep hearing that the Eagles are going to demolish the Chiefs. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think Eagles win. But I think what Pat Mahomes did against the Bengals right there and how the Chiefs defense played, like they're going to show up to this game and try their damnedest to win this game. So I don't think it's going to be a huge blowout, but I think the Eagles are going to win.
Eagles have a really, really great roster. And as a Giants fan, it sucks to say that. And, when you listen back to old podcasts where you and me were both on, we've been giving the Eagles their roses since really week one when we looked at this team and we're like, wow. And then all they did all year was add pieces to make this team as competitive as possible. And yeah, the Eagles, they have a really, really, really strong roster. So it could be a blowout. And if the Eagles can get off to a good start and if the Chiefs defense can't slow down Jalen Hurts, then yeah, this is going to be a problem.
Yeah, without a doubt.
There's some really cool storylines that I just wanted to touch on here for this Super Bowl. And to be honest, I don't know how you feel, Matthew, but I'm not in love with these teams. I would have loved to have seen the 49ers and the Bengals or the Bengals and the Eagles. But there's some really cool storylines going into this. And the first one is this is the Kelce Bowl. We have the two brothers playing each other, Travis and Jason Kelce.
I love Travis Kelce. Or Jason Kelce, the one of the Eagles. I always mix up the two. I love Jason Kelce, and I keep seeing the picture around calling it the Kelce Bowl, and you see Travis Kelce, then you see Jason Kelce, and Jason Kelce is the Batman mask on. It just don't laugh.
It's awesome. They're both really good dudes. They have their own podcast, the New Heights podcast, and it'll be cool to see them play against each other. Obviously, they're both on offense, so it's not going to be like they're on the field at the same time. But what's cool about them is they're both superstars. I mean, obviously, Travis is a tight end, and he's catching touchdowns from Patrick Mahomes, and there's this whole, just being an offensive player like that, you're kind of a superstar. But Jason is probably the best top two centers in the NFL. I mean, he's an absolute stud, and he's a bona fide leader on the Eagles. So it's going to be really cool to see those two teams play each other.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And going back a little bit to, you not being a huge fan of these teams, I went to school in Philadelphia, so I'm a little bit of an Eagles fan just because I
love
just
your
feel
team.
Sense. They're not my favorite or anything. I'm a Patriots fan, but I do enjoy the Eagles, and I think they're funny. And I'm definitely rooting for the Eagles way harder than the Chiefs because I really don't like the Chiefs. But man, did I want Brock Purdy to win this Super Bowl?
He got hurt, man, and there's gonna be reports, and look at my camera getting fuzzy.
I know it's so annoying. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Purdy. The thing is, if Purdy... I guess this transitions nice into my next point. These are the two best teams. If someone said, what are the two best teams in the NFL? After it's all said and done, it's these two teams. And the Bengals have a super strong team, and the 49ers do, but they're missing key components to be the best team. The Bengals were missing the offensive line. Look, like you said, the Chiefs' defense. And then the 49ers, I know Brock Purdy's a huge star to you.
Still undecided. Like you don't know if he's the guy or not. Maybe not. Maybe he is.
He's not Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes.
That we know.
So, what's cool is it's some of the best teams. And one of the things I'm really excited about is the two best offensive and defensive lines. So the Chiefs' offensive line's been playing out of their minds. The run game on the Chiefs is good, and then the Eagles' defensive line is ridiculous. Who do you think wins that matchup?
Eagles defensive line. I just like their defense. I picked him up earlier in fantasy this year, and then I had to drop him just because I thought the Patriots defense was doing a little bit better, but I think I was incorrect. That Eagles defense is strong.
70 sacks between like the four defensive linemen, and like Hassan Reddick, who was a pickup this year, has been a stud. Yeah. He was a pickup from the Panthers.
Yeah, and if you go back and you look like, even the Patriots and all those Super Bowls they won with Brady, Patriots have always had a great defense, and that always is a huge contributor to winning Super Bowls. So, if the Eagles defense can outplay the Chiefs defense, then
and they, the saying is offensive win games and defenses win championships.
Yeah,
and where I think we're moving away from that in the NFL, and sometimes that's primitive thinking. I don't know how. I never really talked to you about this stuff when it comes to football, but like where I always lean more analytics and forward thinking. So as I watch football, I think offenses are becoming more and more important, and I think with the rules changing in football, defenses not less important, but it's starting to equal out a little bit more. Well, maybe back in the early 2000s when Brady was winning those Super Bowls with Belichick-driven defenses, at the end, Brady had to throw for 500 yards just to be competitive with the Eagles in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, which is probably one of the greatest Super Bowls ever.
And just to finish my point here, it kind of shows that offenses are almost just as important now as maybe defenses were. So there's some change there. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, totally. And I think I think you a little bit know how I feel about it. Let's just look at this last Patriots season. We did have a great defense. We had games where we didn't show up, but we had a pretty good defense most of the time. Matt Judon's a beast. But, not having a defensive coordinator and Mac Jones just falling into a sophomore slump, we couldn't do anything. Zach Wilson and the Jets almost beat us. It was like 0-0 or like 3-3 for like the whole game. And it's tough to watch that, especially, watching Josh Allen or watching Jalen Hurts or Pat Mahomes. Like you see these guys, they're actually really carrying this team, and the defense is doing great. But when you got that quarterback that can elevate the team, elevate that offense, you got a superstar team.
And it's why football is my favorite sport, because when you have a really good offense, your defensive life is so much easier. You know what I'm saying? With the Patriots struggling offense, it puts more pressure on the defense, and then you really can't even evaluate how good that defense is because they're on the field for over 30 minutes of the game and they're exhausted.
They're so tired. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. This Patriot season. Bill O'Brien.
Well, we're going to talk about Bill O'Brien. He's in here. The final storyline that's really cool with the Super Bowl is the Andy Reid Bowl. Andy Reid was the coach for the Eagles for a long time. Yeah. And you know what's funny? He never could win the big game. It was always a competitive team, but they always fell short in the playoffs. So it's kind of cool. Andy Reid gets to play his old team. So
that is cool.
And Andy Reid was good with the Eagles. So go ahead.
What years was he with the Eagles out of curiosity?
I'm not going to be exact, but I know he was there in like 2013, and then I think he left maybe 13 or 14, and he was maybe there as early as 2004 or 5. I'm not a big Eagles connoisseur, as you can tell by the logo on my shirt, but Andy Reid was a coach there for a long time, and it was funny because when Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl there, he was Andy Reid's offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, and then went over to the Eagles.
That's right, yeah.
And so it's just funny how, and then Nick Sirianni came from Frank Reich. Frank Reich came from Doug Peterson, who came from Andy Reid. So even the coach now for the Eagles can kind of take his lineage of coaching all the way back to Andy Reid.
Just to quote a wise man, Dale Doback. It's all about who you know.
It's all about who you know. Yes, and especially in football. But the Andy Reid Bowl is cool. The Eagles fans hated him at the end, like really hated him. Like they drove him out of town. So if Andy Reid could beat them, as someone who despises the Eagles, it makes me lean on the Chiefs side. But my final thought here is I really would like a good game. I think the 49ers-Eagles game was probably the most disappointing game for me of the whole year. I was more excited for that than the Chiefs-Bengals game. That game, to me, was so exciting. And so I'm hoping we just
I
get a
agree.
good game.
I agree. That would have been my most anticipated game.
Of
Like
course.
that week, I was sitting there like, wow, that's gonna be an amazing game. And I really thought the Niners and just the roster they had, I thought the Eagles might fall apart a little bit, but I was so wrong.
Yeah, the Eagles, and you know what the thing is? The Eagles smelt blood when Purdy got hurt, and then it was just never close.
Never close. And the fact that they put Purdy back out when he couldn't throw, like,
That's a great point. I talked about the championship games last podcast, but I don't know if I touched on this a lot. Why didn't Mike or Kyle Shanahan just do the Wildcat formation? Put Christian McCaffrey and put Mitchell out there. I believe that's their other running back, and just do the Wildcat stuff because their run game has always been their bread and butter anyway. Just lean on it. So
it's true. I think they did put Christian McCaffrey in for a little bit, but he didn't look good as the throwing
Eagles
the ball.
defense, man, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I guess final thought. I would say the Eagles have the better defense. I'd say they have the better offensive line. They have the better wide receivers, but I would say the Chiefs have the better quarterback and the better coach. So again, it's just always interesting to me. Whoever wins, it like puts more fodder in that cannon of, what are you trying to build? Oh, we just need the coach and the quarterback and everything will work out, or no, we need to build the whole roster. So
Yeah, no, totally. And I think I agree with what you said about quarterback and coach. As much as I actually do like Nick Sirianni.
And I like Jalen Hurts, but Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid that was their 5th AFC championship in a row.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
Like, that's just tough. That's what I was saying going back. Just like I just keep hearing people say, "Oh, it's going to be a blowout. Eagles are going to win." And it's like, I don't think so. Like as much as I want to say that cuz I really don't like the Chiefs. They're the Chiefs. They're really good at the moment.
Yeah, it is funny. 2 of our most hated teams from our fan base perspective are playing each other. Like, obviously, the Eagles swept us this year. It's always been a bitter rivalry, but then the Chiefs and the Patriots have had a deep-seated rivalry. Where the playing field's a little more equal. I mean, the Eagles have literally owned us for years, but you guys back and forth. So it'll be a good game, and we get to watch it together. So
true. I'll never forget 2018 Arrowhead, Patriots going in.
It's one of the best games
ever
I've ever watched. It's probably
ever.
The best game of the 2 best games I've ever watched are that one and then the Bills Chiefs game last year in Arrowhead.
Oh my, yeah. Oh wow.
And
I mean,
yeah, just to go from a Giants perspective here, when we got the Chiefs quarterback coach and the Bills offensive coordinator after I watched that game, that's why we won a playoff game this year. That's why you win a playoff game, because you hired the right guys. I'm just going to say it. I got it. God bless them. So
I have the opposite to say about the Patriots after this.
Fair enough. Next topic I wanted to talk about, Tom Brady retired. Another video. Respect to Tom Brady. It was about 2 minutes, and he said, "I'm not going to give a long-winded speech. This is it. Good luck, goodbye." And he got a little emotional at the end. And Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time. And if John was here, I think this conversation would go a lot longer. But I think you and me here are more realistic when we come to Tom Brady, and maybe less realistic when it's about the Patriots or the Giants. Which, by the way, I appreciate about you. You care more about the logo than the name. So
That's true.
I appreciate that. But what are your thoughts on Tom Brady's retirement and his career?
I mean, Tom Brady. I mean, so much has been said, and there's not a whole lot I feel like I can add to that conversation.
Fair.
Man's just a legend. I mean, I was born into Tom Brady. Not that I was born a little bit before he was the quarterback and everything in his big dynasty, but it's all I remember. Yep. And so growing up, that's all I would see is just Tom Brady on the Patriots. And I would personally love it if he did have a one-day contract, came back and retired as a Patriot. I don't think he's going to personally, but I would enjoy that as a Patriots fan, and I would like it if he gave a little bit of love to the team that built him out in a sense, or the team he built out.
It's both for sure.
I don't think he should have played this last year. He retired last year, and it seemed right. It was a great thing. He almost had a great comeback against the Rams in the playoffs. That just didn't work out, and that would have been such a great spot to retire. And then came out this year and just didn't look great all year. And that Bucs team just didn't look great all year. And so it was just kind of sad watching him this last year, in my opinion. I had a tough time sometimes. Although I watched his entire last game against the Cowboys because I figured, hey, if this is the last Tom Brady game, I got to sit through this. And, again, I'm just happy he is retired and it's, over and we can just put the cork on it and just be all right, he's the GOAT. He's awesome. Let's respect what he did. But also, what is he doing at the moment with those pictures of him in his underwear? I don't really know.
Yeah, there's so much to pull away from what you just said, but I remember doing a podcast. It was episode 3 of the Snowcast, and now we're on 63, so 60 episodes later, and we talked about Brady coming out of retirement, and he had to have taken a look at the NFC and thought, I can still be the best team. And I don't think he expected the Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, and a slew of other teams to just kind of creep out of mediocrity and become competitive. And at the same time, the injury bug killed him. I mean, Tom Brady, I heard someone say this, and it may have been Colin Cowherd. He said Brady used to be the secret sauce to win a Super Bowl. Brady now needs the secret sauce to win a Super Bowl. And that's when you know, hey, it's probably time. But you're right. We don't need to give a lot. I just like a lot of respect for Tom Brady. Eli Manning is his bona fide father, which I think is hilarious. But all the respect in the world, and yes, I agree. He should not have played this last season. I thought it was a mistake. But, you know, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I really do appreciate Brady not going to another team and trying to run it back one more time, because it's just a huge gamble. And where he is with his kids and with his life and, you know, with his Fox deal coming up, I think it was the right choice. And all the love in the world for Tom Brady. He's the GOAT of GOATs. And I'm getting really sick of people saying, is Patrick Mahomes as good as Tom Brady? Like, 15 years, we'll talk about that. Tom Brady played quarterback at a competitive level for 23 years.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is in year 7 or 5 or 6 or 7. So let's just give it another 10 years, another 15. And then we'll see. When it's all said and done, possible, but let's relax, okay?
Yeah, I completely agree. And in all honesty, like, we can sit here and judge Tom Brady for that last year, but, you know, it's what Brady wanted to do. He went and did it, so I respect him for doing this last season and trying his hardest and everything. I personally just had a hard time watching it.
It was tough. It's tough watching the Titan fall. And, you know, we saw the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. It was watching the Titan fall, which, let's jump to the quarterback carousel. Because we got quarterbacks all flying around, and Tom Brady retiring actually throws a huge wrench in a lot of teams' plans and what's going on. So let's start with Aaron Rodgers. In your opinion, what's happening with Aaron Rodgers?
That's such a tough one. Because I really don't know, because he's gonna go on like Pat McAfee or some show and say he hates it, like he's sick of the Packers, he doesn't like the coach, the offense is not great, but then he's probably just gonna stay another year. Like, I feel like he's done it 3 years in a row, and there's no reason to think he's just gonna do it again. But if he doesn't stay as a Packer, he's becoming a Raider.
Yeah, well, with Devontae there.
Yeah.
You got to think.
Or the Jets. Nathaniel Hackett. That was the other one I just remembered.
Yeah. So there's a lot of teams. And, yeah, let's just start with Aaron Rodgers as a person is a douche. And I've just never been a fan of him. I really think it's awesome. Like, the NFC Championship 2 years ago, it was really fun seeing Tom Brady beat him, because Tom Brady is everything you want in a leader. And Aaron Rodgers was everything you don't want a leader. And just to go actually back to the Tom Brady topic, he got so annoyed so easily last year. It was sad to see that too. Brady lost a lot of his leadership ability, and I'm not gonna let him skirt on that. It would be the first third down or second third down of the game, he wouldn't convert it, and he'd be screaming. It's like, bro, you've been playing for 10 minutes.
Or you'd see him like jump over to the sidelines and he'd just sit down
and do nothing.
You're like, that. What's he doing? He's not going over and talking to his team?
Yeah. So just another reason he shouldn't have played, right? It was tough to watch. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I think he stays a Packer. He does this every year, and every year we bank on something different. You know, last year he was going to go to the Broncos till the last minute. And, you know, my question is, who's going to trade for Aaron Rodgers, and who's going to give the Packers what they think they deserve for Aaron Rodgers?
I would not.
Would you give, if you're the Jets, would you give 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers? No.
I aim for Derek Carr way over Aaron Rodgers.
Well, so we got 2 others here. And so before we talk about Derek Carr, the other person who I would bet is going to be a Raider is Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm different about where he ends up. I don't think he's a Raider. I think he's a Titan.
A Titan is really going from Tannehill to Garoppolo a huge upgrade.
I think the Titans are a bit silly. They traded AJ. Silly things.
That GM got fired, though.
That GM did get fired, but they just do silly things.
Yeah, right after AJ Brown torched their ass right in Tennessee. No, I think Jimmy becomes a Raider because the Raiders have no other options. I think Jimmy will be a cheaper option, and he knows McDaniels and he knows the system, and McDaniels knows him.
It's true.
And and Kyle Shanahan came out and said he does not see a possibility of Jimmy G being here next year in San Francisco.
Oh, actually, I'd not heard that yet.
Yeah, he came out and said that.
Thought about him being a Raider, but that makes sense. That does make a lot more sense potentially over Aaron Rodgers switching. I could see that. That'd be weird though. I personally really don't like the Raiders.
I think the Raiders are a Jimmy G away from. Well, no, they're not, because actually, just scratch that.
They're not.
How can I say getting rid of Derek Carr and adding Jimmy G is like the secret ingredient you need? But you know what? Sometimes coaches and players just don't jive. Like, look at Russell Wilson with Nathaniel Hackett. It just didn't work. There was something missing there, and it could be very similar with Jimmy G and or with Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels.
The Raiders.
Yeah, look what McDaniels did the year before with Mac.
It's true.
I mean, that was a well-run offense. I don't care what anyone says. It may not have been the most flashy, but Mac was accurate. Mac was completing passes, and the run game was strong.
I completely agree. And yeah, the only issue is, you're right. I think I take Derek Carr over Jimmy G, and I think it's kind of tough it's tough for the Raiders not to realize that. You know, if they do take Jimmy G and they're like, we upgraded, it's just everyone's gonna be like.
But Derek Carr, you know, there's a money aspect to this. Derek Carr, so this is what's going to happen, in my opinion. They're going to cut Derek Carr. They're not going to trade him because after a certain date in February, I want to say it's 14th, they owe him $40 million guaranteed. Yeah. If they cut him before that, they don't owe him that money. So if you free up $40 million, Jimmy's only going to probably get a 1-year deal on a minimum.
Yeah.
And so now you probably have $34 million. Think about all the free agents you can supplement and maybe put more around Jimmy and maybe get more on your defense, which is, again, where they were lacking.
Where is, do the Raiders have a first-round pick? They should.
Yeah, but it's not super high.
It's not?
No.
Yeah, maybe you take Jimmy G on a 1-year contract and you grab someone who's looking kind of good this QB class.
The problem is there's a lot of teams that need QBs. You have the Texans, the Colts, the Panthers. The Falcons are up there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, they still have Desmond. Did not look great this year, but again, that freshman year, like,
it's tough.
Looked awful freshman year.
Yeah. So
like, it's tough.
The quarterback carousel, I think every year we're seeing more and more quarterbacks actually jump. I think Tom Brady going to the Bucs was like, oh wait, I can change teams and be good. But then Russell Wilson jumps, and you're like, oh wait, this is horrible. This does not work. What did we do? So I'll do my prediction, then you can do yours. I think Aaron Rodgers stays on the Packers. I think Derek Carr becomes a New York Jet, and I think Jimmy G becomes a Raider.
Interesting. The Raiders right now are such a big question mark to me.
It will not be Derek Carr. That's the only thing I'm sure of. Derek Carr said at the Pro Bowl he's gone. He said everywhere he is not coming back. Like, he will not come back.
It's true. I mean, he looked so awesome at the Pro Bowl. The Raiders might be like, hey.
but they benched him. He's like, I need to go somewhere else. Like, he's been there long enough. But go ahead.
I agree. I think Derek Carr to the Bucs, personally.
Now, I was going to say, Matt, the Bucs are the other team in this mix that just are floating around, and they might need a quarterback more than anyone.
The Bucs right now have a great taste in their mouth as what it's like to get a older quarterback and bring him into that system. They really enjoyed Tom Brady, and I think they might really like Derek Carr. I think Mike Evans might really like Derek Carr, and I think that might be a decent fit. The other name that I hear a lot that gets thrown out to the Bucs that I don't think is going to happen is Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's a Raven next year.
They can tag him. Yeah, they have a tag, so they can stamp it on him and say you can't go. I think
man, that's tough.
That's horrible. It's horribly difficult.
Now that the Raiders, like, I've never made the connection of like, hey, we got rid of Derek Carr and got Jimmy G. Like, I don't know if that's what the teams do. Like, that sentence doesn't sound fully correct.
Sound like a win to me.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like you sell the fan base on that.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. Maybe Jimmy G heads to the Jets.
That's another possibility, and it's cheap for the Jets. So
yeah, because Mike White will have a game where he's incredible and a game where he's awful. So like maybe you still want to like play with that and see what you can do with that.
They still want to develop Zach Wilson, man. They're not getting rid of him. They said we want to develop him. Like we want to get a new coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, and they want to work with him. I mean, he was the 2nd overall pick.
I mean, they should. It would be a bad move.
Just like the 49ers shouldn't give up on Trey Lance yet. It's the same thing.
Yeah. And hey, if I was the Niners, I'd just keep Trey Lance and Purdy and then see what you can do with that duo. Because like you can do something. But at the same time, all their quarterbacks get hurt and they just lose in the AFC Championship game. So like
NFC. I saw a video.
NFC,
they were like there was this guy doing a video and he goes, yeah, they probably just need like one veteran to be like the 3rd stringer, someone who's reliable. And then the other co-host goes, someone like Jimmy Garoppolo. But Jimmy gets hurt too. That's why I would say Derek Carr is probably my favorite out of these 3. But yeah, Lamar Jackson's absolutely in the mix. And eventually the Ravens are just going to be like, we've had enough. But it's not going to be this year.
Yeah, but I think no matter what, the Colts do not take an old quarterback.
They don't. They're drafting someone. They have the
They're
second.
Drafting someone.
They have the third pick. They're drafting someone.
Yeah, there's no way. Same with the Texans, in my opinion. Although it would be interesting for Derek Carr, Texans, because it's where his brother played for so many years.
The Texans? That could be.
Yeah, I'm sure his brother was a quarterback for the Texans for a bit.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But the thing is, the Texans have the 2nd pick, so you got to think. But they're going to want a veteran. It wouldn't shock me if Jimmy goes to the Texans. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. Similar to how this year started, all of us were like,
"What is
go?
Yeah.
Like,
what is going on? Geno Smith is a starter for the Seahawks. So
I love Geno. I'm happy he did so good.
Yeah, me too. But the only 2 certainties I have is Derek Carr will not be a Raider and Aaron Rodgers will be a Packer. Those are the only 2 things I'm convinced of. I'll die on those 2 hills. Everything else is who knows.
The 2 I'll add to is Lamar will be a Raven, and the Colts, no matter what, are drafting
a quarterback. If they bring in another one, though, God bless them.
Marcus Mariota to the Colts.
Well, this is this is a great transition. So quarterbacks are flying around, but we also have coaches flying around. And the Colts are doing everything in their power to make this soon-to-come Jeff Saturday hire look like it was well thought out. Because they still haven't hired anyone. But I am convinced it's Jeff Saturday for 2 reasons. Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, keeps coming out looking stupider and stupider. And secondly, please don't hire my defensive coordinator who is still in the running. Please don't. So
Yeah. That's always scary when you have a great season and now one of your guys is like, oh, hey, I can be a head coach.
Matthew, the offensive coordinator is one of the 2 finalists for the Cardinals.
That'll
be Daniel Jones's 6th new offensive coordinator in his 5 years.
That's awful. That is awful. Go to bed every night with a prayer, man. Like that and the Cardinals are the worst.
Who wants to go to the Cardinals?
Talked about. Like, what do the Cardinals do? I am not a Kyler Murray fan. I do not think
you just paid him for 3 years. He is the most He is the 3rd most guaranteed money. It goes Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray. How are those the 3 most guaranteed dollar amounts over the next 3 years?
That's so funny. That's so funny. That's the 3 of them. Like, that's so weird.
Bad ownership, bad general management, and the quarterback market is thin. It's a thin market because you're one unsigned quarterback away from trying to pick up Jimmy G. Yeah,
no, without it, that's true. And the team that we're not talking about, that we have no need to talk about, which is kind of fun, is the Jaguars. They have a great coach and a great quarterback at the moment. The great running back.
So smart.
Who'd have thunk it?
the Jaguars did a good job. I think they overspent, but Trevor Lawrence is a stud, and I was super impressed with him. Doug Peterson, I've always thought is a good head coach, and I thought the Eagles did him really dirty at the end.
So weird.
It's just another reason I don't like the Eagles, but shout out to Doug Peterson. Arguably coach of the year. Him, Brian Dable, and Kyle Shanahan, I think all deserve, and Nick Sirianni, but, he obviously is a really good But either way, I'm getting off tangents here. Okay, so the Colts, they're just going to hire Jeff Saturday, and it's going to be horrible, and...
Why would they do that? Pat McAfee as your head coach at that point.
It's funny to me because, we have all these analytics, all these analysts, these podcasters like you and me. We sit here and we talk about all this stuff, and it's really just 32 white billionaires who just get to do whatever they want, and we just look at it. That's really all it is. Yeah. Is the owner goes, I don't care what you all think. I don't care about the Rooney Rule. I'm hiring my boy Jeff Saturday. He's going to be my coach, but he's given us this whole runaround. He's still interviewing. And it's funny because the Cardinals and the Colts, just this last thought, are in two totally different circumstances. The Colts absolutely know who they want, and they just want to make it look like a different thing. And nobody wants to work for the Cardinals. Like, Brian Flores took a defensive coordinator job for the Vikings, and he's still in the running for the Cardinals job, but he just said, nah, I'm good, actually. I'm good.
I don't want to be here.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I would not want to be the head coach of the Cardinals at the moment. They're going to have another stinker year just because of everyone they've lost. And, like...
AJ Green retired yesterday.
Did he really? Ooh, I did not hear that.
14 years.
DeAndre Hopkins is getting old, and they're not going to want him no more.
He's a cap casualty. They'll get rid of him.
J.J. Watt retired there, right? He was a Cardinal.
Yep, he's gone now, yep.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what you do with the Cardinals, and frankly, I don't really care. They are such an afterthought in my brain. We had a great game against them where the Patriots hurt Kyler Murray, and then
you guys didn't even hurt him though. He just ran and just had that injury.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, he wasn't even someone who tackled him. He just fell. And then we kicked the crap out of Colt McCoy, which was funny. But I'll always enjoy that about the Cardinals. I don't know what you do as the Cardinals. I would not want to be the head coach, and it's so weird that the Colts must just really like the any given Saturday phrase, because
it's crazy. I just don't want to lose any Giants coordinators, but I think we're actually going to lose our offensive coordinator to the Cardinals because it's his first year as an OC. There's only 32 positions being a head coach, and you know what? Take everything away from Kyler Murray. I think he's a bad leader. I think I don't think he has the best attitude. I don't think the team believes in him. But
he's a great KD ratio. KD ratio.
But he is uber talented, and I'm gonna give him his props for that. I think he can sling the shit out of the ball, and I think he is fast. And you know what? A young coach like Mike Kafka might look at it and be like, you know what? Like, I want my shot here. Give me a 5-year deal. Don't fire me for 5 years, and let me build this team. So,
no, totally. I think I am not a fan of Kyler Murray. I'm also not a fan of Patrick Mahomes. So,
yeah, fair enough. Bill O'Brien. Let's talk about just this coordinator. I wanted to get your thought on this. You can go first. I can go first because I think you'll agree with me. You can spin this in two ways. You can spin this as, what a great hire. Bill O'Brien, proven head coach, has been in the college game learning how new offenses run, coming here to work with Mac Jones, who also had success and won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then with Deshaun Watson, he took the Texans to the playoffs 3 years in a row, I believe.
True.
Now you can also spin it, Bill O'Brien, the guy who tanked the Texans with Deshaun Watson, was never really good with the Patriots, and once they got a chance to get McDaniels back, they did. And no one else interviewed him for a head coach. Why did nobody interview this guy? And it's also just another Bill Belichick disciple, and it's like, oh my God, how many of these are we going to refresh through before it's done? Where do you fall on this as a Patriots fan?
I'm falling somewhere in the middle of
it's an upgrade.
I'm getting annoyed with Bill Belichick. The moves he does and the things he does, I don't enjoy. I've said it, I think, before in this podcast. I'm not really sure we will win another playoff game with him as our head coach. It's like if he just is hiring his kids, hiring the guy he knows, like texting buddies like, hey, is Jim we hung out with at the barbecue a good fit? Oh, yeah, Jim's good. Oh, okay, sweet.
We got a punter.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we got Mac Jones to begin with. Like, he's close with the Alabama coach.
Nick Saban.
He was like, hey, you might like Mac Jones. And Bill Belichick's like, okay, Mac Jones. Like, I'm getting tired of this. And so I want to be optimistic just because of what he did with Deshaun Watson, how he's been at college, learning newer, younger offenses. Like, that is the biggest thing that gets me excited from what I watched last year with the Patriots. And the best example of that is just look at the Bills. Look at the Bengals. Like, see what they're doing with young, hot quarterbacks. Now, is Mac Jones a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen? Probably not.
But we don't know.
Yeah, you don't fully know. Probably not, but you don't know. And look at what he did last year. I mean, he had the same numbers as Matt Ryan's MVP season. Like, he's a gunslinger. He is accurate. He can't really move so well, but he is hella accurate. And if you just play into that, I mean, we could win. We could get second in our division under the Bills. Hopefully, still beat the Dolphins and lose to the Bills in the first round of playoffs. Like, that's just going to be the next 3 years for us in a sense. If Bill Belichick and we just keep doing what we're doing like this.
Yep. No, I agree. I think Bill O'Brien, I think it's the most Belichick hire, but if Belichick, if he's going to get one of his guys, Bill O'Brien's the logical choice, I guess. And so
because Cliff Kingsbury's not coming around.
Honestly, though, Bill O'Brien is an upgrade from what you had. So let's just look at it from that angle. You know what I'm saying? It can't be worse.
Yeah, it can't be worse than last season. Like, no matter what, Mac Jones will not have Matt Patricia calling some offensive plays and Joe Judge as the quarterback coach, which I think might be the quarterback coach.
But I think Bill O'Brien will bring some of his staff in there and revamp stuff.
Yeah. You know, I mean, hey, I just want a better season than last season. Mac Jones, like, Bill Belichick did him so wrong, and the worst thing that they did was put him out of that Bears game Monday night, and then have that audience cheer him out. And like, that was a dumb move. That hurt Mac Jones. The man's like 24 years old. Rookie year, the whole audience, your whole fan base is now cheering for the other person to come out.
And it's because what Tom Brady did to Drew Bledsoe, and everyone thinks Tom Brady or Mac Jones is the second coming. It's like, what are you doing to the poor kid? No, it's tough.
It's so weird. And the Patriots fan base is so awful that, like, it's just tough. It's so tough to be a Patriots fan and sit and have these conversations because the only thing I get is this.
I like Zappy.
Bill Belichick.
I like Zappy.
Zappy, Bill Belichick. Like, all I get, and I'm just like, you guys are robots and insane human beings. This is why I'm slightly an Eagles fan. Because at least, like, they're dumb fun, in my opinion. The Patriots are so serious and annoying about it.
I'm telling you, Matt, if you become a regular on the podcast or a potential co-host, by the end of your journey with me, you will root for the Giants more.
That is the last episode of this podcast I will be a part of.
Goodbye. There's a couple other coaches that got jobs I just want to talk about. I think the Broncos getting Sean Payton was a great move. There's been like a bunch of information. He had a press conference I listened to this morning, and he basically is like, yeah, Russ isn't going to have his own personal coaches. He's not going to have his own office. Yeah. Like, you got to bring Russ back down to the team. It's a team game, and I think Sean Payton was more than adequate, if not, like, amazing with the Saints and Drew Brees. I mean, literally the Chargers dumped Drew Brees for Phillip Rivers, and then Sean Payton picked him up off the street and said, I'll win a Super Bowl with you. So, do you have any other thoughts about the Sean Payton hire? Anything that...
he hasn't been like doing anything in football for like 3 years, right?
Only a year. So he retired one year ago. He was with Fox as an analyst. So if you like watched like Game Day or something, he'd be on the Fox station.
Okay. I thought for some reason it was longer ago than
just 1 year.
Okay. So I feel a little bit better about it. I for some reason had thought they had grabbed someone who was just hadn't done anything in a little bit and was like, oh, he did good things went back in his day. Let's hope he does that again. So I was like, it's like, I don't know. I get that thought process, but just from how the Broncos looked, like, you get the head coach, you get Sean Payton, great head coach. That's probably going to work out. Russell Wilson actually did look good his last game in the Broncos, and he's still Russell Wilson, so like he can still come back. But that offense needs so much upgrading that I don't know if in 1 year you can just turn that team around and get that going. You need a little bit of time to get some rookies and draft some veterans for that offensive line, just because it's off.
It's a great point, Matthew, because guess what happened when they got Sean Payton? They had to trade a first and a second round pick to the Saints.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's right. How do the Broncos still, like, they traded everything for Russell Wilson,
and they've gotten everything for their coach and their quarterback, Matthew. So they must think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, huh?
Yeah. They have to think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. They're like Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, well, exactly. You know, they think those are the premium positions, and if we can get the coach and the quarterback, it should elevate everything else. And, you know, you trade your picks when you're the Rams and you think your roster is strong enough to win a Super Bowl, and that's where the Broncos thought they were. And I remember when they made this trade last year, again, this is a very early podcast, I said, straight to the Broncos, because I know they listen to this. I said right to the Broncos, you really think you can win you're a quarterback away from a Super Bowl? Because that's what they said. We're going to leverage our whole future, all of our draft picks, just like the 49ers. We're one quarterback away from a Super Bowl. They really thought Trey Lance was the missing piece. And it's like, okay. Now, the 49ers, again, one game away from the Super Bowl, but the Broncos couldn't even sniff it. So I hope it works out. I think it's an upgrade, but God damn it, if it doesn't work, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge problem. And
I think it will work, though. Sean Payton, again, consistently a great coach in the NFL. The Saints were always to be trifled with. So
it's true, and they really haven't been since he's left. So it shows how much he was doing for that team. And I agree. I think it's going to work. I think no matter what, the Broncos will have a better season than last season with Sean Payton. But again, that being said,
what's better? You're going to win 7 games?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like they're still gonna. I think they're still gonna come out and look a little bit like the Broncos of last year, just still figuring stuff out, which is fine. But it's just the narrative they are telling and how cocky they seem about what they're doing makes it a little annoying. It's just like, guys, like you can't just do this and be like Super Bowl.
Yeah. They're not. I agree.
We had Peyton Manning and took a great quarterback and won a Super Bowl, but he was so bad that season. Von Miller carried him the whole way.
And the year before, though, he went to the AFC Championship and lost it. And the other thing, they went to the Super Bowl and lost it to the Seahawks.
The Broncos did?
Yeah, the year before they went, or maybe 2 years before they went to the Super Bowl. Remember that game was a blowout? Remember the Seahawks won like 48-7?
Was that Russ? That was like Russ Wilson's first Super Bowl, right?
Yep.
When he won.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I do remember that.
But remember
the only Seahawks. Oh yeah, sorry. I was gonna go off on a tangent.
No, I was just gonna say when they brought in, and I said this a lot too, when they brought in Peyton Manning, the whole team was established. The defense was together, the coaching staff. They brought Russell Wilson and then a first-time head coach. That's a lot to push into one team and then expect results.
100%.
Especially when the coach and the quarterback are maybe only 10 years apart in age, maybe 5. So you have a quarterback who's a vet and you have a coach who's a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just when it comes to coaching years.
I'm sure there's moments Russell Wilson's on that sideline and like he looks over and doesn't see Pete Carroll, and he probably has a lot more to say now looking at him. He's not going to back talk to Pete Carroll as much as he probably did to Nathaniel Hackett.
Exactly. So either way, I think it's a good hire, but you've leveraged a lot. So let's hope it works out. And then just quickly, I wish the Panthers had kept their intern head coach.
He was doing good.
And I'm not
his name. Not Matt.
Steve Wilks. Steve
Wilks.
He went 6-6 with a roster that had absolutely no talent, and the team really supported him. And I understand the Panthers want to get that quarterback and they want that offensive coach, so they got Frank Reich, who I do think is a good coach. The Colts were competitive for a few years, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out. We're kind of getting to time here. Is there anything you wanted to add to the?
I think the Frank Reich hire is kind of cool in a sense. I mean, he was the first quarterback.
Cool, definitely cool.
So, like, that is a cool thing to do, and I hope that works out just because I don't have any ill will against the Panthers. I like, in all honesty, the only reason I didn't like them was because in that division, I think I was just rooting for Tom Brady and the Bucs because it was still. But now that that's gone, like.
And you know what? And you know what the owner would say too. The owner would say, "Okay, what if I brought Steve Wilks back, defensive coach, and then I bring Frank Reich as an offensive coordinator? Then you draft a quarterback. What if the quarterback plays well? Frank Reich's gone the next year because now he's a new head coach. So that's why offensive coaches are becoming head coaches because you never want to lose them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien, Matt, he comes back and has 2 good years. He could be a head coach again.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, Bill Belichick's getting old, and so many people are talking about this, like, the stat that, like, he needs to win 3 more playoff games or something to have the most.
Yeah.
Or to have, it's just like, I wonder how much those people actually care about those stats. I'm sure there's something that's honestly more entertaining for us than them. But I don't know. I really don't.
Yep. And then finally the Texans with DeMeco Ryan. That's cool. He was the 49ers defensive coordinator, and he played for the Texans and was a Pro Bowler for them for like 6 years.
Yeah, I did also read about this, and I thought this was a cool pick.
Great hire.
The Texans, the Jaguars, maybe just those are the 2 teams. Like, those 2 teams, like, I'd never mind seeing doing okay. I just, like, do good, guys, because you guys are usually at the bottom.
Yeah, and the thing was, DeMeco Ryan basically had his pick between the Broncos and the Texans, and he chose the Texans over the Broncos.
Good. Don't be head coach at the Broncos again.
Yeah. But, well, it's funny because then I think they went for Sean Payton because they were looking for a coach without giving up the draft compensation. And that may not be true. That was like speculation, but either way.
Right. Really quickly about other speculation. The day after Sean Payton gets hired, Brady retires, right?
Yeah.
A big narrative going around that Brady really wants Sean Payton, and then they were going to go to the Dolphins, or they were going to go to like the Ravens, something like that. So I'm very curious if that actually was true, because the day after Tom Brady retired.
Well, I'm telling you, they got fined for it. The Dolphins lost a first-round pick because they were colluding, because you can't talk to coaches and players before a certain date. And proof came out that was absolutely a thing. The Dolphins wanted Sean Payton and Tom Brady, and that was their plan.
Yeah, that's just silly. Why would you want?
The Dolphins are a weird team.
It's such a weird team.
We'll save next episode to touch on the Pro Bowl. We'll end it here. But hoping for a great Super Bowl. Hopefully, Matthew, like I said, we can have you back again shortly.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
We can recap it.
I just because next time we do an episode, the Super Bowl will be over. Like, I just don't want Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts to get hurt in the first quarter. Like, just give me something like that Eagles Patriots Super Bowl. Like, I don't necessarily need my team to win.
Yeah, but just a shootout.
Just throwing their heart out, and that game is just epic. Like that, it's all I want from a Super Bowl. All I want.
All anyone wants. So. We'll catch everyone here on the next time. Shout out to Matthew. Matt, do you want me to put your links down below for your YouTube channel?
Yeah, sure. Go.
Matthew has a YouTube channel?
Yeah. Project name TBD. I'm a filmmaker trying to get started out in this industry, so please support.
So anyone who's listening, everything for Matthew will be down below, so make sure you click and subscribe and check out some of his short films that he's worked on. And we'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.